Hello, this is Lis Nielsen, artist in the woods. I am out at Asilomar Beach right now on a trip to Pacific Grove. But I'm looking at this little scene right here. Really pretty, and I've moved a few things around. The wave action out here today is really beautiful, and I love the colors of the mountain in back. And the shapes of the rocks. With gouache paint today, and I've got some sort of dry colors in the wells. I've got my supplies out here. I have a small drawing that I did. Anyway, I'm going to give this a try. It's been a while since I've done gouache, but I like to do a little bit of both gouache and oil color. This is my little Winsor Newton tray of watercolor that I like to bring along just to do the wash, the background, and that helps a lot for washing things in at the beginning. And by the way, I'm in our smaller car. My car broke down. My husband had to come and fetch me and have my car towed, so here we are in the Subaru, and I would have had my van, which would have been a lot easier. I want to try these black velvet brushes. They're silver black velvet, and this is a 14. This one is smaller, an 8. I generally like to paint with large brushes at the start. I've got these pencil lines. I believe they will erase afterwards. I'm putting my darker blue up top, and this should dry. Well, the watercolor, it should all dry a little darker, so I don't want to get too dark at the start. You know what? I'm going to have this big white wave in the background, so I'm going to let that dry just a few minutes before I put anything else in back here around this. So what I'll do is I'll put in some of this foreground in the meantime. I've got a layer of really dark rock, so I want to get some nice dark tones, and I'm using my blue and my red for that. I'm making my paint very dirty. Okay, and it should have a touch of green in there as well. So here I come with my yellow. So it has to be cooler than that. So we'll see how it goes here. I've got some dark rocks here. So I've got some dark rocks, and then I've got lighter rocks here. So I want to mix a little lighter. So going with some of these lighter tones. Maybe a little red mixed in with that. So I'm not worried about detail right now on these rocks, just value. Starting off just thinking about value and how the rocks, they're kind of in layers out there. Layers of mass. Okay, and then I've got some lighter tones still, where it's like maybe the birds have been sitting on some of the rocks there. So some of these are pretty light. And then yellowy tones coming in. Yellowish red, I suppose. Back to that darker yellowish red in the foreground, very warm in the foreground. Not quite that warm. Put a little blue into it, that would be good. And this paper, yeah, that's about the right tone there. We'll leave some because it went up into that lighter tone there at the top. Some of that white there. So I'm going to mix up my blue and then go in with it. So I wet the paper, then go in with my blue. And I've got to mix that here. I can pull from some of the watercolor as well if I want some of those less opaque. Let's see about the tone of that. Sand or salt, if you put salt on there to bring out the white parts. This should actually be a little more warm in tone. In some areas it looks almost greenish. The water will take on different hues. I really do not want to get this too dark in tone back in here. It needs to remain very light. So I'm thinking about my values the whole time. And I want this to be a soft edge so I can go back and brush over it later. It doesn't have to be done while it's wet. I can brush over it later and soften the edge of the top of that mountain. Okay, so let's see. What does my wave look like? It kind of comes up here. It didn't really come up above that mountain, but that's okay right now. It works, it works. Okay, I just want to remember that there. So I'm going to like the flat brush better, but we'll see. Really, I love my oil brushes that are flat brushes. So, okay, now I've got some really dark water back in there. It's a little bit yellow. I put a little red into it. It's further in the background. I'm using a cooler red for that. This might be too dark. I can blot it. Probably will be too dark because I was telling you how it dries darker. So I'm going to use the blotting method for that. Okay. When you use dry brush, it's not really like this right now, but it makes it look like it has the sparkle on the water. So it's one method you can use for water. I don't think I've done a gouache painting out here at the ocean. Not one that I've posted anyway. Get that down so that I know what it looks like, and then I like to go back in with that white splashing wave up on top of it. just to continue that idea along here, maybe show that there's some white water in there as well. Okay, and also over here. Just want to get some of this dry brush work in here, show how the water is moving down this way and then out. I used to teach children, and what we would do when we would do the watercolor is I would spray the little pans down with the paint pans down with water about 15 minutes before we got started on things, and then everything was nice and moist and ready to go. Otherwise they'll end up with these really bland paintings. So learn these tricks. Light is on that side of it. I think we'll go back in with some shadow. So pay attention to which way the light is coming in too. It's important. So one thing I want to do is reactivate this paint that's on this mountain and actually change the shape of this. I was not happy with the shape of this. It's competing with this over here because they were at the same level pretty much. And I may just play this down and simplify it a little bit over here, change that a little bit. And then the other thing I want to do, and this is just reactivating it with the water, really. I'm just putting water on it to take away some of the paint that was on there. What you can do is paint water onto it, like so, and then just dab it with the paper towel and wipe away some of that paint. My problem with the mountain line is that it's too dark at the top, and it really should just look like a kind of a faded out, very muted mountain area. So redo that, redo some sky around that. And then the other thing I really don't like is this right in here. I think it should be more of a straight line and not follow this, just a straight line of foam pretty much in there. So if this, just gonna try some things in here and see if they read better. So what this is doing is this wave was curling over, and I don't quite have that yet. wanted a better angle here. That was bothering me for some reason, and so I wanted to look at the photo, and that's where a photo reference can really help. So I'm softening some edges back there. It's back in the background. Now I need to go back in with that wave. And that's a splashing wave, and I accentuated it a lot more than it really was, just to get some drama in here, and you can play with things like that. Just have fun with shapes and some white water. If I've got all that wave going in there, there would be most likely then you would see some more white water out here. And then I used a dry brush here, but I used what I wanted to talk about a little bit is getting that sparkle on the ocean there, and you can do that with gouache using a dry brush. You can do it with oil as well using dry brush, and it's really a nice effect that you get. I used the wrong color when I did it before. I used a dark color, but I really like the structure of that wave more now. How it's coming in, it's more real. I didn't have a photo I was following. I was just sort of in the moment out there, and that's where a photo reference can really help you to go back and look at those important parts. So we get a little splash going up there. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I do hope you're trying some of this gouache and just giving yourself one more tool to use in your painting. This is Lis Nielsen, Artist in the Woods. Be sure to keep watching and subscribe if you're getting something out of this. Happy painting.